Hello, welcome back to the channel. Deplete the Fleet 7, I think, and you'll know we've been on with this Citroen. It's sold, I've got the money, it's now MOT'd, so I need to take it home. The new owners live a couple of doors down from me anyway, which I think is a bad thing, to be honest. We'll have to see what happens, won't we? At the end of the day, it's a 500 quid car. So it's had 2 tyres on the front, disc and pads on the front, the welding, a bulb, and there's just one advisory now, which is an oil leak. So the welding on this side, obviously I've painted that up, bit of underseal, and then sort of the right colour code just from the range, I think that paint was Arctic steel. The other side I've obviously lost interest and was in a bit of a rush, so it's still a bit fucking shitty. I might go over it with a bit more sandpaper and some of the right colour paints, but I want to ask now, it's past. They didn't even point this out when they'd fucking come and had a look at it. They noticed that the arch liner was missing. Obviously I'd taken it out to do the welding on this corner here. They'd noticed the rear exhaust rubber was on its last legs. I couldn't replace it. Well, I didn't try. It's one that's bolted up into the rear sort of chassis, if you will. So corroded. If I'd attempted to replace it, probably would have had to drill out, redo the screws, the threads, the studs. Couldn't be arsed getting into that, so I just put a couple of tie wraps around it. That'll have to do. If you watch my £500 to £15,000 series, you'll know the Punto. We've had the deposit. It's now sold. It's going tomorrow. I'm taking it home tonight to give it a clean off. It had the big clean a couple of months ago. It's just got a bit of dirt on it, you know, a bit of debris inside. So quick hoover and a quick clean up. And today, this Focus, now I've stripped the head off a while ago. It is in here on my toolbox. The wet belt has gone on it. The camshaft is there in 5 pieces. And there's one of the buckets and shims. Well, the bucket is stuck in the cylinder head. I can't get it out, so I think this head is ruined, obviously, and also this cam cap is in 2 pieces. If I can show you, come on. There we go. Look. So really, this head is fucked. It's scrap, but if you remember from the first video of the series, then I've got this Ford Fiesta Courier 1.8 TDDI, I think. It's the same basic engine as the Focus. Now I'm hoping they've not sort of reworked the cylinder head in any form, and I can put this head and pistons in that engine. Now this engine's done about 95,000 miles. The Focus had done 60 something, I think, but this is like the shit shield out of the other engine. I mean, if you look at the difference in cleanliness, this is a pretty fucking clean engine. Obviously injectors are different, but they should swap over. I'm going to swap the glow plugs. I might even put new glow plugs in it. I'm going to, what else have we got? Manifolds should hopefully swap over. This end is the same. There's a little sensor there, the blanks, so we're going to whip it off and hopefully get a bit lucky, to be honest. Now I didn't really want to scrap this, but obviously the axle's fucked. There's welding underneath where the axle is mounted to, and when I was sort of dicking around, I'd noticed down here it's just been filled with filler, so it's had a smash and it's fucked down here. So if I can salvage bits of the engine to save me having to spend on an engine for that, because the engines are about 700 quid. I think I paid 795 for this, so in theory, you know, it's going to have saved me money, I guess, or what would be spent on the engine, spent on this. Hopefully I can maybe sell some bits and recoup some of the cost. There's a cat and that on it. Headlights, I don't know what else is going to be fucking worth out. There isn't much left, to be honest. Maybe get 100 quid if I fill it with fucking shit. But yeah, unfortunately, I think she's off to the scrapper. So I think we're 2 cars down. Well, technically 1, because I've bought a Kia Sportage. So although we're getting rid of that Punto, there's a Sportage in its place. So I think we're now 10 cars are better than 1. Technically this has met its fate, hasn't it? So that's down to 9. We've got the truck to do. That's a shitload of welding. A bloke did come past yesterday, not yesterday, last week sometime, asking if it was for sale. Sounds like he only wants to spend a few hundred. Ideally what the work I've put into it, the parts I've bought for it and got on it, I want £1,000 for it at least as it stands. It runs and drives and stuff. Once I've got it back together, there's just welding to do really. If it gives me £1,000 I'll let it go, but I'd rather fucking fix it for yeah, if it's going to offer any less than that. I just want to take a moment to say how fucking delightful it is to work on. Every single nut and bolt on the exhaust manifold has come undone. Them 4 there that hold the cat onto the manifold have come undone. The little 10mm down there, bracket for the cat, has come undone. Fucking hell, I feel bad scrapping it now. I think I'm about to jizz myself. Every single one of these glow plugs is cracked off beautifully. Although, to be honest, are they new? I don't even know. Bearing in mind, it's a 20-year-old Ford that hasn't been ran for, well, when did I buy it? End of 2018. It had 10 months MOT, so coming up 2 years, I would think. But I mean, look at that. That is delightful. Just wonder whether the same voltage rating as the plugs in that Focus. I'll have to check, won't I? It's a bit of a budget build, this. I want to buy as little parts as possible for maximum profit, basically. Obviously, the Focus was given to me, as I've explained. I don't really want to have to spend on it. I know I'm going to need a head gasket and head bolts, but other than that, oil and filter as well. Other than that, you know, probably the cam belt, new cam belt and tensioner there. So really for me, it's getting into too much already. Just want it running, try and flog it basically. The rain's starting to come down, I don't know if you can see, so I might have to, I think I'll whip this head off and then call it at that. Hopefully it clears up later on. Right, I suppose a good way to see whether these heads are the same is to compare the head gaskets. Now this one's off the Focus, this one's off the Courier, and if we look at, well, all the bolt holes look the same. We've got this sort of teardrop shape there, these coolant sort of ports, oil galleries. The only thing I can see that's different is, I'm going to say the thickness. This is a 4-notch, and this one's a 5-notch gasket. And then another thing we can do, just lay them on top of each other. And if all the holes match, which looks pretty good to me, I think we're on to a winner. Right, I've got all the bolts out the sump. I need pistons and conrods. As you know, the valves have smashed the other ones, you know, to bits really. They're fucked. May have bent conrods. I'm hoping it hasn't ruined the shell bearings, but till we get into that Focus engine, we'll never know. So I've got a small hammer, a little pry bar. I'm just gonna fucking clout it. We don't need to be fucking nice. We're not keeping this one. So yeah, I'm gonna need 2 hands though. So right then, starting to come away. Only problem with these tin ones is wherever you sort of try and break the seal, you end up bending a bit of the sump sort of sealing surface. So we'll try and be a bit gentler on that Focus, but if we can't, can we? Right. So there's the sump pan. Also gives a chance to see sort of how clean the engine is. What else? Oh, we're gonna need that fucking... Oh, you fucking twat. Fuck's sake. Now, I've never had one of these engines apart, but there is a fucking big ass sort of cradle, if you will. Cannot see the fucking big end bearings with the sump off. We're gonna have to fucking undo all these fuckers. That probably supports the crankshaft as well, to be honest. Does it? I don't know. Might do. Fucking hell. Just when I thought we were gonna get a lucky break as well. Fuck's sake. Right. This courier is fighting us all the way. I'm under the Focus right now, and I apologise if you can see up my nostrils. So the situation, the cradle on that courier is sort of hanging. I've prized it a load, and I think, as you can see, what is holding it, I'm going to show you on this Focus because it'll be easier, and I'm not going to get dripped on and shit up. Oh, so I'll flip the camera. Obviously the cradle's there, that aluminium bit, that's the sump. But then what we've got, where the crankshaft sensor is, there, see them that 10mm, that 10mm bolt, and there's another one above it, facing fucking backwards. So yeah, that I think is what's holding the cradle on the courier. Obviously, I didn't plan on taking 2 gearboxes out, separating them from the engine. I may as well have fucking swapped the entire engine by the time I've fucked about. But I think what I'm going to do, undo the bell housing bolts on that courier. I think there's a water pump sort of that's up against the chassis leg. I'm just going to try and wrestle the engine off the fucking gearbox and just drop it out straight onto the floor, because I'm not too bothered about the external bits. So it's the pistons, conrods that I want, the internals, so they should be well protected. So yeah, I'm getting at that point now where I just want it out. I mean, I was hoping before dinner I'd have them pistons out, but it's just one thing after another. So I've got 2 top bell housing ones out. There's one down there, 2 down there. I'll have to take this water pump off so I can get enough clearance that way to sort of get the engine, flywheel, clutch off the input shaft of the gearbox. Just going to let it dangle, and hopefully I can see what's going on. Obviously on the Focus, I'm going to have to be a lot more careful, but I don't mind being careful on that. It's just this, speed, you know, Don't know when landlord's going to be coming in to sort of repossess the property or whatever you want to call it. Make sure that we're out and all of our stuff's out. So the plan was end of the week have that Focus up and running. But all the extra work is probably going to be end of next week now. So yeah, it is what it is. Just have to fucking do what I can do. Well, it's out, kind of. Although it's all fucking cast iron. That cylinder head weighed a ton. It's all cast iron. And I'm just trying to think, is this the roughest I've ever taken an engine out? I think it is. Oh dear. Right, let's see if I can actually get that sort of into this space here. Wish me luck. Right then, the engine's on the floor, and if actually we look up here, the housing for the crank seal is also bolted to this sort of carry. You can see where it's starting to split there. But there's yeah, bolt there, one further round. So yeah, clutch flywheel's gonna have to come off. What an absolute nightmare. But at least we know what we've got to do with that Focus. So the first thing I'll do is take the gearbox out, I think. Is that wise? Don't know. Then find a way to support the engine, I suppose. Don't know. We'll decide when we decide. I think I've got a support for just like above the engine, sits on the inner wings, so we might try and utilise that. But it's going to be the end of this one, so until next time, cheers for watching, bye.